live on all platforms. Running another AMA. The AMAs stand for Ask Me Anything, which really means whether you're watching on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or in the Small Wins group. What's up, Kim? You can leave a comment on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, and I'll be happy to answer it. I haven't done one of these AMAs in a while because fourth quarter just is all encompassing at this company, and we pour any and all energy we have into making our customers as successful as possible. And it has been a remarkable and incredible fourth quarter. And as we sort of get to the end of the year and wind things down, I love running these sessions because it gives me the opportunity to start working through my own thoughts in terms of like the year in review, right? Like, what did we learn in 2021? What did we try? What new things did we try? What did we learn out there in marketing land? What did we ultimately learn that can help you grow a business, that can help you hit the ground running in 2022 with a business that's bigger than it's ever been before, right? And yeah, Mr. Ford is like, what's the best way to sell epoxy canvas art? Exactly. All of the questions that I'm attempting to answer and delve into. And one of the formatting techniques that I've done on these AMAs is I come up with some general topics to rant on as I sort of roll along through the entire thing. And the first one I want to address, because it's been such a huge and tremendous learning from this last year, is the concept of a collector list, right? The concept of a collector list, I should probably define it, right? A collector list, succinctly, is a list of people that have purchased work from you, okay? That's what it's supposed to be, right? That's what it is when it's a fully mature tree, right? It is people that have purchased your work before that you market to for the rest of their lives, okay? That's big picture definition of what a collector list is. And I should pull the focus down narrow and say, I've come to learn, and when I say I've come to learn, I read early on, and specifically I've got this book. Where is it? I don't have it right next to me. This book that I've read from Weiland, where he talks about how important the collector list is for him. But since then, I've seen the data play out year after year after year, and the collector list, both the size and health of your collector list, is probably the number one indicator of the revenue potential of your art or photography business. It just is, full stop. There's no getting around it. There's no escaping it. And I ranted about this all year long, but it is just so profound, right? It is the number one reason that you need to be selling direct, okay? Because if you don't know who is purchasing your work, i.e. if you're selling through galleries, online or offline, and you don't know who's purchasing your work, you have no ability to market to these people in perpetuity. I don't know how you grow a successful art business doing it that way. It is extremely, extremely difficult to grow an art business if you don't have a list of people that have purchased your work such that you can market to them for the rest of your art selling lives, right? Like, you know, one of the biggest themes that's emerged, certainly this year, but years previous as well, is you need to start contemplating your business through a much longer lens than you are currently. Most people, and I'm not assigning any fault for this, but most people just say, Guy, how can I get this art business off the ground this year, right? In the next month, in the next 6 months, in the next 9 months, how can I get it to start paying my bills rather than costing me money, right? How can I stop spinning my wheels? And I think that's a really important focus to have. Don't get me wrong. But almost no one looks at it in terms of like, what is my art business going to look like in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years? And when you spend even just a moment contemplating your business through those longer lenses is really when the collector list comes home, because not everyone is ready to purchase art right now. They never will be, right? You might have people that purchase something from you today's day and age, and then 15 years later, they're ready to make the big purchase. And that's when they purchase $30,000. And the only difference, the only way that you actually get that sale is if you have the ability to market to that person in perpetuity, okay? And in addition to that, and I see some of your questions coming in, I'll get to them, don't worry. But in addition to that, you can fake it early on until you make it, okay? And it's sort of like, you know, let's picture you're working in a coffee shop or a bar, right? and you start your shift off and you place the tip jar on the table and there's no tips in it, right? Because you're just starting your shift. And people always ask, like, well, how do I start getting tips? I haven't gotten any tips. And it's the same kind of question, like, how do I start a collector list? I don't have any collectors. Do you know what you do? If you're thinking about that tip jar at the bar, take a couple of dollars out of your pocket, put it into the tip jar. Okay. You fake it until you start making it, right? You let people know that tipping is acceptable. And how this applies to your collector list is when you're just getting started, anyone that is even on your email list, those are your collectors. I know maybe they haven't purchased anything from you, but it's okay. What it does is it starts building the habits of what you need what to do, how to think tactically about how you take care of these people, right? You treat these people like they're staying in the Four Seasons, like they're staying in a 5-star hotel, right? You go out of your way. They should be getting your Christmas cards, right? You should be doing a Christmas card list for collectors only, which is another reason to ask for their address. But early on, you fake it until you make it. Okay. You treat everybody on your email list like collectors, and then you start getting some purchases, and then you really start treating those people special. And you understand that a collector list is built over years and years and years and years and years. And it just takes a ton of time. Okay. It just takes a ton of time, but it is so fundamentally important. Excuse me. It is so fundamentally important to the life of your business and to the life of your business in perpetuity. All right, so I got a couple of questions before I move off the collector list and I move into just the New Year's period. And the first one, somebody asked me how to sell, how to go about, what is the best way to sell epoxy canvas art? It's no different. It's no different than anything else, Mr. 4843. How do you sell it? You sell it through regular and consistent marketing, right? It doesn't matter what the it is. The problem you have is that you're not marketing consistently. No one is. Right. And so don't overthink that because you have epoxy canvas art that your art is any different than anyone else's. It's not. Kim, who's a customer, is asking about SMS marketing. I'm really curious about SMS marketing. We haven't even done it, Art Storefronts, ourselves yet, because we have no shortage of marketing channels here. And once you get a couple marketing channels working, the idea is to go all in on those marketing challenges, right? Or go all in on those marketing channels before you even contemplate. So you can start testing, SMS, and I do think it's worthwhile. I think it's an incredible way to get people's attention. I don't think it's any different than, messenger marketing, like you can do with chatbots. And, really just the idea is a text message level relationship with your potential customers, right? What I would do to experiment, Kim, early on is just text people one-off. Text your collectors one-off and see how that goes. That's probably where I would start before I would ramp up an entire, text message marketing program. Is probably where I would do. And Mr. Ford 843 is asking, can you also speak on promoting, please? That's all we speak about all day, Mr. Ford 843. I would subscribe to the podcast. There's a link in the bio on Instagram. It's the Art Marketing Podcast. I would start with episode number 1, and I would go all the way to the end. There's still so much gold in those episodes. So many techniques and tactics that are totally working. And yes, Kim, you can ask people if they want to be in your text message list all day. That's how it goes. That's how it starts. We all start with small lists. All of our lists are built one new subscriber, one new follower at a time. All right. So Natalie's asking, is there a way to make money when sharing on social media photographs I took? We all know they are a screenshot. Would you post saying gratuity appreciated via Venmo? No, I wouldn't, because no one's going to do that, Natalie. No one is just going to say like, ooh, this photo is awesome, I'm going to send you money. But if you instead had the actual photograph in your hand and you could show it and say, hey guys, having a flash sale on this particular piece right now, it's something I normally charge $595 for, but right now I'm willing to let it go for $395 and then give your Venmo, then I might do something. Nobody does gratuity with Venmo, just on a whim. That's just not the world that we live in. So I don't think that would work. I wouldn't focus on that. Okay. Swing and a miss. I love this. So Sean saying he went to Art Basel in Miami, $4,000 booth, $1,000 cost in gas and stay. Swing and a miss. Made some contacts. Got to get on your program. Yeah, but Sean, you also need to contemplate, okay? Need to contemplate how to get the most ROI out of a show, right? And I also recommend you go to the podcast and you listen to the 2 episodes that we have on in-person art shows. Because were you giving away a free print at that show, Sean? Did you have a fishbowl or a clipboard asking for emails? Did you email the winner after it was over and say congratulations? And then for everyone else, they could take 25% off site wide for the next 3 days. How many live art shows did you run in your booth at Art Basel Miami? My guess is you probably didn't do a lot of that. If you did, a lot of times those additional marketing efforts are the difference between getting ROI out of an in-person show and not. Moreover, um, in-person art shows are awesome, right? They are awesome. I love them. I think they are such a fantastic way to grow as an artist. But at the same time, they're hit or miss for sure. They're hit or miss for sure. So when you contemplate doing live art shows, okay, when you contemplate going and doing those, you have to go into it writing the mental check that you're going to do 10 or 15 a year, right? Because some are going to be good, some are going to suck, some are going to be a home run, and maybe a bunch that are smaller. And when you've gone to enough of them, that in aggregate is how you get a solid ROI out of all of them. The problem is that, and trust me, I know this because I've done this in my own career. Okay, I used to have a clothing company. I used to have to do trade shows, like the expensive trade shows, and one is never enough. One is not a path for success, right? You have to fire a bunch of arrows if you're going to want to hit the bullseye. That's number one. Number two, the smart artist, the smart photographer knows that by doing shows and by marketing consistently after the fact, they can afford to go to a show and lose money. They can afford to go to the show and lose money on the booth fee, on the hotel fee, and maybe come back 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 in the red. Because that smart artist knows that once you market consistently to all those new people that you added into your funnel, that you added into your database, somewhere down the line, okay, somewhere down the line, 2, 3 years from now, somebody that you met at that show, okay, because you were marketing consistently, just moved from the city to the suburbs, and they have a 4-bedroom house now, and they need some art, and they write a check for $20,000 or $30,000 worth of work, or $10,000 worth of work, and you just paid off the booth fees and then some, right? You have to take a long range lens if you want to make it in this business, and that's the only way to make it in this business. So that's a really, really important conceptual way to look at the shows and theirs. Okay. So very, very important to understand that, especially as you look through it. And, especially in this new year, right? It does seem, notwithstanding the new terrifying variant that's out there with the Greek letters, I'm not even going to say its name because then Facebook's going to ban my video, but it does seem like we're going to be clear of this dumpster fire virus situation next year. And when we are next year, more people are just going to be over it and want to get back to their lives. I think the live or the in-person shows, when you can mix those in, it's no different than like a balanced diet, right? Like, again, we look at this business and we look at attempting to grow this business over years and years and years and years, and you realize it's no different than having a balanced diet. Well, what do I mean? You have to be doing the digital marketing. Okay. You have to be doing that. You have to be capturing emails. You have to be emailing the emails. You have to be running sales when it's appropriate. You have to be running live art shows. But when you can throw in some of these in-person shows from time to time, even if you can only do one a quarter, that constitutes more of a balanced diet, more of a balanced approach to your marketing. And that's a fantastic way to keep the business moving, right? Like, your business, okay, especially in the lead generation portion of your business, it should be thought of as a freeway, right? And you want to get as much traffic going down the freeway as possible, but understand there's a whole bunch of different on ramps to the freeway, right? And what do I mean by that? You can have an in-person show at the fishbowl. You can have your art in a restaurant with QR codes, right? And they scan the QR codes and they get on your email list. You could be doing the digital marketing on Instagram, the digital marketing on Facebook. You could be running the live art shows. Whatever you can put into play in terms of a marketing context, all constitute these on ramps onto the freeway. You want to have as many of them as you can. So I really do like the in-person shows for a number of reasons. But I do realize, and I'm going to make a mental note that I need to do an updated podcast episode on all of the ways to tactically best approach the show, right? And then also the right mental framework to go into those shows. But again, at a high level, if you're not running a print giveaway and you're not capturing emails and you don't have some lower priced items and you don't realize that you need to be marketing in perpetuity after the fact, and you don't run a live art show in the booth, you're really hindering yourself in terms of the ROI that you're going to get out of that show, right? What do all artists and photographers not want to do? They're marketing, right? And so what do? They pay the show on the hopes that the show is going to do the marketing for them. What are most shows and fairs terrible at? Marketing themselves. Surprise, surprise that, right? Some are better than others. But when you have this playbook, fundamentally, when you're going to run a live show, you are in such a better spot because you're not just taking the facts on the ground. I mean, we have some people, yeah, and trust me, Sean, I know, but I'm stoked that you did it, and there's still ROI to get out of it, right? There's a lot of ways to win on a show, and as long as you focus in doing all of those, you're less reliant, okay, on the show doing their job, right? And the show is saying, hey, I'm going to charge you $4,000 because we have a booth at a great location, and there's all these people that I'm going to provide you. And when you don't do anything else, you're relying on taking them for their word. And I don't trust any of these people further than I can throw them, right? I really don't. Okay. This one, Natalie, I'm going to have to call you out. Natalie says, don't some folks just screenshot our work? No, nobody is screenshotting your work. Nobody is stealing your images from Instagram and reselling them. It's just not happening. It is not happening. A lot of people get that poison in their head, Natalie, that is happening, and that's the reason they're not successful, and that is the biggest load of BS in the history of mankind. Okay, this business is so damn difficult to make it in. The thought that there are people out there scanning social media, downloading images for free, printing them, and putting them on the walls in their house so they don't have to pay an artist is nonsense. Although I did read an article today that it's from a famous artist actually that said a bunch of her sketches and drawings run OpenSea. OpenSea is like the #1 NFT marketplace. So I'm not saying there's not bad actors out there, but you can't live your life. That's like living your life saying like I'm not going to drive the car because people die in car accidents, right? Like you can't do that, right? Like the odds of it happening are so extremely low. It's like I'm not going to walk out my front door so I might get struck by lightning, right? That's what I would say. Yeah, someone was saying it happened to such and such. It's like dying from a bee sting or getting struck by lightning. It is a cancerous thought to have in your mind that will prevent you from doing marketing that you need to do, right? And look, this is what cease and desist letters are for. If you find it, send a cease and desist letter. But trust me, it's very, very difficult, okay, to build one of these businesses. It just is, okay? And there's not people running around making millions of dollars, steepling their fingers, waxing their mustaches, and buying islands off of your art. It just doesn't happen. OC Lee is asking, why are you so expensive? We are so expensive. Well, I don't necessarily agree with the premise. I don't believe that we're expensive in the slightest. I believe for relative what we offer, we are extremely underpriced and inexpensive. We teach you to market for the rest of your life. We are essentially a college that you pay $1,000 to get into. Right? Like, there's not a lot of other stuff out there. Yeah. I don't accept the premise. It seems like we're expensive, OC Lee, because when you're comparing us to everyone else, we're not anywhere near like anyone else. Not only that, we constantly add value to the offerings that we have, right? Like, ask Kim there for how much additional value she's received as a customer since she signed up. We just keep adding things and adding things and adding things and adding things. So that's how we go. Shout out, Lisa. Thank you for that comment. The other thing that I wanted to touch on too, and by the way, this is an AMA. You guys are doing great with the questions. You can ask any and all that you like, especially you that are contemplating signing up, because there's nothing better than getting yourself set up, getting going, and hit the ground running in 2022, right? Like, you want to have everything up, running, ready, and ready to go, do some marketing and get ready for Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is a big art selling holiday, right? Which is really, really important. In Moody Virgo, I understand that you can't afford $1,000 and that's totally okay. That's why I put out all this free content. I put out so much free content. It's crazy. All you have to do is sign up, start listening to it, and bolting those ideas into your business, and you'll get there, right? You'll get there. But really, like, you know, it's a common refrain, right? It's a common refrain. You know, the reason that we charge what we charge, which again is a massive value, is because it's what it takes to make you guys successful. Okay. What do all artists and photographers do? They go from one website to another website, to a marketplace, to another marketplace, to Etsy, to this, to that. And what happens? What changes? Nothing changes in your business because you don't have a website problem. You don't have a marketplace problem. Okay. What you have is a marketing problem. And until we solve that, we're not going to be in business. Our storefronts is not going to be in business. So really what we are at the end of the day is a postgraduate university that teaches you all the classes that you never got in art and photography school. Okay. How to actually make money, right? Off what your talents are. And it's a grind, right? It's a long-term grind, right? Yeah, it's what it's worth. I appreciate you saying that, Sharon. And like, look, too, Kim, how long have you been? Kim's been a customer for 2 years. She's done 40,000 in sales, right? I look at Kim and I'm like, Kim is barely out of freshman year. She's barely out of freshman year in that business, right? Like, we still got to get through all the way to the PhD. Like, no one makes it in this business in 6 months. Okay. No one makes it in this business in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. People make it in this business years 7 to 5. Years 7 to 5, 5 to 7 rather, is when you really start picking up some steam. And then years 5 to like 12 is when things really start crushing. And then what I'm looking at is year 15 to 20, where you are humming on all levels, and you've built a business in which you control everything, and it just continues to grow year after year after year after year. And that is the whole ball game, right? That is the whole ball game. Like, we are not looking for the quick shot in the arm. Like, if you're here and you're listening to me talk about this, and it's like someone's telling you that it's going to be easy, or that you're going to get an immediate ROI, or that there's some sort of magical formula where you're going to quit your day job year one, you're in the wrong place. I'm not here to tell you that. The first year sucks. First year and a half, 2 years suck. You have a ton of stuff to learn. You have to get confident at it. It's the number one skill set that you guys don't have and that you don't like doing. None of you want to do your marketing. It's like my kids eating their vegetables. Okay. Doesn't matter what I tell them. They don't want to eat them. Right. They don't want to eat them. And I have to battle that. And I know it's going to be a battle for years and years and years until I can explain how beneficial they are for their body, hair, skin, longevity, energy, all of it. Right. So that's the ball game. I like getting fired up about that, but no one has the right perspective on that. No one ever runs around telling you guys how hard this business is and how hard you have to grind early on. All they do is there's a bunch of gurus and swamis and this and that out there telling you what you can do, and you'll start having a huge business right away. It's BS. It's total BS. This business is a grind. It takes a ton of time, and it's not easy. But if you've got the right plan in place, okay, and you keep working at it consistently, and you have the emotional support to keep you going, then you're going to be good. It's just a game of pressure over time, right? That's it, right? Like, that's just how it goes. All right, that's interesting. When you switched your major way back, lifetime, yep, Destin showed our college did not say out loud insecurity. How do we do this, make money plus taking our classes? Yeah, there's just it's really sad. There's just never been any education, on how to actually monetize your creative talents, how to actually build a business that's growing year over year over year. And ultimately, that's why we exist. And ultimately, that's what we charge. And do we have the whole thing figured out? No, we don't. Not even close. We keep learning and getting better and iterating. And I mean, the third item on my list was live art shows. Live art shows are barely a year old. No one was running them before. The sheer amount of learning that we've had over the last calendar year on how effective live art shows are working to sell art, to sell photography at levels people have never seen. It's incredible. It's the number one biggest advancement. I guess technically you could say it happened in 20 rather than 21. But 21 is when the techniques started to get refined, right? When we had customers that started running multiple a month. That we have customers on their own that are streaming to their YouTube accounts, their Facebook accounts, their Twitter accounts, and Instagram all at the same time. We have people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s doing that. Contemplate that for a minute. Their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s doing that, right? Streaming is a techie thing. Streaming is the dominion of young kids that play games online, right? And we're borrowing this incredible technology and these incredible advancements, and we're leveraging them to sell art, and we're getting better and better and better and better at it. And let me tell you, it is unnerving. It is terrifying. It is straight up scary to run your first couple of these things, right? It is annoying, terrifying, all of these things, but it gets easier. It just gets easier and easier and easier and easier. And again, we don't look through a short-term lens here. There are plenty of other places that'll help you look through a short-term lens. If you're looking through the short-term lens, you're failing. If you're not working consistently on your marketing, you're failing. And guess what? If it's not really frustrating and really hard, you're also failing. Terrible thing to say, but it's completely true, especially early on. Man, is it a grind. It is a grind. And there are multiple stops along the way where you want to quit, where you want to just say, you know what, this is just a hobby. It's just going to fulfill me as a hobby. I should have listened to my mom. I should have listened to my dad. This was never going to be anything more than a hobby, right? The emotional support is just as important, okay, as the marketing education is understanding how this business works, is running the live art shows, is building a collector list. Like artists need emotional support too, right? And Terry's in here, right? And what was Terry's earlier comment? Terry, I want to grab your, I'm still in the beginning, but I still have hope. Don't ever underestimate hope. Hope is the difference between making it and not making it. And do you know it's really hard to have a great reservoir of hope when you're completely on your own? When you're just doing it on your own in a vacuum, and you're just grinding, and you don't have a group that's supporting you, and you don't have a bunch of other artists in a cohort that are going through and struggling with the exact same stuff you are, right? Purple Bird Creative's asking me, how long should lives last? You'll never know until you run enough of them. It doesn't matter. It's like, how long should a really good meal last? I could argue I could have a really good meal in one appetizer. I could argue I could have a really good meal in 14 hours. In fact, I love a 14-hour meal. I don't know about a 14-hour meal, but good 6 to 8 hour, good times. It doesn't matter. It's less about how long they are and just doing more of them, and experimenting. In Purple Bird, how many lives have you been already that I've run? Do you think I have it all figured out? No. Well, you know what I have done? Run hundreds. And I'm going to keep running hundreds because I keep getting better and better and better, right? Thanks in large part to you guys and your questions too, which give me feedback about what's working, what's not working, right? There's no magical formula to how long a live art show should run, right? It can be a flash sale on one piece, right? You could go online and be like, guys, I've got calendars. The new year is coming. I love them. I want my art on your wall 12 months a year. Maybe you don't say that, but that's what you really want. And I normally charge $50 for these, but for the next hour, if you see this, it's buy one, get one free. And then shut up. There's your live art show done, right? And email it to everybody. It's so new, there's no rules, right? Like, it's like we just landed on Plymouth Rock and everyone's asking for a map. And I'm the guy that got there first. I'm like, no one has a map. Go explore. Head west, right? Everyone's going to figure out a ton on the way that they go and stumble and stammer about, but it's going to be incredible. Like the whole journey is going to be incredible. I love that you guys are leaving comments. Somebody asked me a question about pricing. I'm trying to go back to it. I think it was Troy. Was it Troy? I swear I saw something from Troy. It's really hard to keep up with the Instagram comments. Thank you for the nice comment about our Cadillac support. I love that. I will tell support. Right. Troy's asking, is there a monthly after starting? Yeah, you essentially pay a one-time fee, Troy, to get into the university, which is just everything that we offer. The university is just the easiest way to explain it. And then you just pay a monthly fee for your website, and that's that. But it's, you have to understand what you're getting for your money. You're getting support and education for the rest of your art selling life. And if you ask any of our customers, like, the product just keeps getting better and better and better and better and better and better, and you don't pay anything additional for any of that. The sheer amount of features I have on my list that I'm going to start dropping this next year. One of the best competitive advantages we have as a business is we have a really, really robust software platform, and we have the ability to update it really, really quickly, right? Like, most legacy e-commerce website providers are getting a little bit older now, and to turn or to change anything is like trying to turn a cruise ship, right? Like we're a tiny little 18-foot Boston whaler. We can still really, really move nimbly. And one of the things I'm most proud this year too, especially is, and I don't know if you've seen these, Troy, but you're a photographer, you should. We created these brand new pages, or I created, I should say, because I'm gonna take credit for it. Right? What is the line? Like, I'm not gonna toot my own horn while I toot my own horn, Troy. But it's essentially a one-page website that you use to run live art shows. And all you do is you drop the images automatically populate on the page in a grid, you title them, you just give them a description, 24 by 36 canvas, you give them a price, and you're done. That's it. The whole page is ready to go. You can build the page in less than an hour, as long as you don't have like 80 pieces in the show. And then you can run a live art show. Instead of saying like, hey, oh, you want this piece? Great. Venmo, PayPal me. Send me a message on Instagram. No. You just say, link in the bio. You can go there right now, and you can purchase the art. And it solves for a bunch of things. And these pages are phenomenal. They're essentially just one-page websites. Like, you could sign up for Art Storefronts today. And after you got like the merchant account sorted, and after you got the domain routed, and those things take a day or two because there's like processing and this and that nonsense. But let's just table those for a second. You could have your website live in 24 hours, right? In 24 hours, boom, done. And be up and selling and running. And it's like, we have to make things easier and easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. It's what you guys need. Dolly Parton quote. Sometimes you got to honk the horn. I love that. Honk the horn and let them know you're coming. The woman is amazing. You have to say what an incredible career she's had. No question about that. Yeah. Karen's asking if she's going to need a computer for this. Yeah, you can't do it all on an iPhone, Karen. You just can't. I wish you could, but you really do have to have a computer to run one of these businesses successfully. You could do it actually, the whole thing with an iPhone, but really, I wouldn't recommend that, Karen. I mean, you kind of just need to have a laptop to be able to run the whole thing. You really do, right? And yeah, Kim, you can do a subdomain if you want all day long. That's not a problem at all. I don't know why you would need to do a subdomain, but you certainly can. But yeah, all of these are really. I enjoy doing these conversations, and thank you, Les. I appreciate you for that comment. I like doing these off the cuff chats because, one, I'm eating my own dog food. Okay, streaming, as I'm telling you guys to constantly stream all the time. 2, I get your inputs. 3, I get the inputs from customers in equal measure and potential customers. And I love the balance between the two, right? And it's so funny because what you realize, and this is no different for you guys in art or photography business, right? Which is, everyone thinks that their job, okay, in their art or photography business is to do marketing to acquire new customers, right? And it is. Your job is to do marketing to acquire new customers. But guess what? Once they become a customer is when the marketing actually starts. It's when the marketing actually starts, because you have to keep that customer engaged, and it's your job to turn that customer into a collector, someone that comes back and buys additional pieces, right? So you have to market to new people, and you have to market to the people that you already have. And that is such a fundamentally important concept. And so one of the fun things for me in doing these is I get a market to you potential customers and convince you to sign up because it's the best platform that's out there. And then 2, I get a market to my customers because I need my customers continuing to take positive steps in their business. I need to continue to keep them motivated to keep marketing, to keep moving their businesses forward, right? Like, both of those are so just critically important. I'm talking myself out of gas. How long have I been going at this? 35 minutes. That's pretty good. All right. Final questions. Otherwise, I think we'll leave it there. I would say, for the ones that are contemplating signing up, that think we might be the home for them, your next step is to go and get a demo. The demo is test driving the car. You get to see all the bells, all the whistles behind the curtain. The whole thing is customized to you. It's like an hour Zoom call. To do that, there's a link in the Facebook post. There's a link in the YouTube video. There's a link in the bio on Instagram, per usual. But I'm going to be doing a bunch more of these to sort of flesh out some of my ideas as I like contemplate the bigger piece, which is 2021 year in review, what we learned at a high level, some of the high points, and then most importantly, like how are we going to hit the ground running in 2022, right? How are we going to make sure the momentum we picked up by doing some consistent marketing this last year, and ideally a great Q4. I mean, I realize everyone's in a different place, right? Like some people have been at it for years, some people just got started. But the important thing is that how do you take you know, that momentum that you built, okay, and move it right into New Year's resolution territory, right? Move it right into the mindset that 2022 is going to be the biggest single solitary year your art business has ever had, right? And I'll tell you right now, for our customers, it's going to be, if they stay engaged and they stay consistent and they're working the program, it is just simply going to be a great year, right? Everything is pointing to art sales continuing to go up and up and up. So I'm excited about that. I'll be running a bunch of these presentations throughout the rest of the week. Links in the bios for everything. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, get subscribed to the podcast because I have to start putting out a ton of new content, and especially that new in-person show playbook, the updated version, in-person show playbook 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. I don't even know what I have now. I got to go and look in the vault. But on that note, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your questions. I appreciate all of you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.